Welcome to Mikam Israel. Has life ever torn something from your grasp? A position that you cultivated with devotion, a vision that you painstakingly built, a chapter you were certain would endure. Have you ever been displaced, not for lack of merit, but because others decided your season had ended? If you have, you know the sting of loss, and you know the question that haunts the silence. Where was Borei Olam in all of this? The answer begins not with tragedy, but with a prince, a king, and a truth taught by the Meshech Chochmah. The Meshech Chochmah offers a luminous insight into the mitzvah Ubo Tidbak, clinging to Hashem in the Parashat. At first hearing, it sounds unattainable. How can a mortal, bound by flesh and time, cling to the infinite? The Rambam says we do it by attaching ourselves to those who embody Borei Olam, the Hachamim, the Tzaddikim. But the Meshech Chochmah goes further. In Sefer Yoshua tells the people, Ki im b'Hashem elakim tidbaku, but you shall cleave to Borei Olam your God. He compares it to the bond between a prince and his father, the king. The king has many responsibilities, but his love and care for his son eclipses all of them. Because of this, the prince walks through life with unshakable confidence. He doesn't panic when danger looms. He doesn't crumble when he's alone. He knows his father's the king. To cling to Hashem is to live with that certainty that we are his children, beloved without measure, guarded with infinite precision. That awareness is bitachon, the serene confidence that our Father is already arranging what our eyes can't yet see. But here's the challenge. It's easy to feel safe inside the palace walls. The real test comes when we're pushed outside the gates. It's then that we must remember I am still the son of the king. And then there was one man, the Ozherover Rebbe, who lived this truth in the most extraordinary way. A man once came to the Rebbe, immaculately dressed, shoes shined, his eyes were heavy with defeat. He had built his community from nothing, and now they've cast him aside. I gave them everything, he said quietly, and now they've pushed me out. What do I do now? The Rebbe didn't answer directly. Instead, he asks, do you know why I came to America? The man shook his head and the Rebbe began to tell his story. He was born into a palace of Torah. His father, the Rebbe of Ozherov, and he, the right hand, led the yeshiva, guiding the community. Then came the war. The Russians stormed in and every Jew was expelled overnight. Men, women, children, with only what they could carry. Behind them, peasants were looting, tearing Jewish lives apart. When the Russians left, he returned to find ruin, no shul, no mikveh, no homes. But he rebuilt. Then came tragedy. An epidemic. His children, gone. His father, gone. And his wife, taken away as well. Alone he stayed and he built again, but then came something darker than war or plague, machloket. A faction whispered for a new Rav, baseless but spreading. He knew the scent. He could smell machloket, and once lit, the fire doesn't care who's right or wrong. So he left. He walked away from the city of his ancestors, from the shul rebuilt with his tears, from the yeshiva that carried his soul, and he boarded a ship to America with nothing but exile in his pocket. It felt like failure. It felt like death. And then the war came. The Nazis, Yimach Shemam, entered Ozherov and every Jew taken. The Rav was forced to carry the Aron Kodesh on his back. He collapsed and they beat him on the spot. The Sifrei Torah Bar Minan were burned. Ozherov was erased. People said the Rebbe left out of weakness, but he hadn't left from the fear of death. He left because he knew staying would destroy more than he could save. And Borei Olam, in his mercy, made his shame the cloak that saved him. Looking at the man, the Rebbe said, sometimes being pushed out is not punishment, it's protection. Sometimes you think you're walking away from your life, but you're walking towards your own survival. And then he quoted, Bakesh Shalom Urvehu. Seek peace and pursue it, even when it costs you everything. Ladies and gentlemen, when the Rebbe walked away, the streets, they called it weakness. History called it exile. But Shemayim called it salvation. This is Ubo Tidbak. To cling to Borei Olam like the prince clings to his father, even far from the palace, even when the road vanishes and even when the world thinks you've been left behind. The prince doesn't measure his safety by walls, but by the strength of his father's hand. and so must we. Because sometimes the hand of Kuchubricho will pull you away from the throne you've built to seek you on the throne that you were always meant for. So when the road curves unexpectedly, and when the position you cherished is gone, when the chapter that you thought defined you is torn away, do not collapse. Lift your eyes to the King, because if you are still the son of the King, you've never left the palace. And if you are still the son of the King, you will live to see the day when the exile you feared becomes the very salvation you bless. Shabbat Shalom and Mivrach.